Welcome to Duo Chat with Brittany
and Cynthia, where we talk about drama shows
like Dawson's Creek, One Tree Hill, and more. Hi everyone, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Cynthia.
And today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 13, titled Hanging by a Moment, air date February 10th, 2004, and the synopsis is:
In therapy with Deb, Dan confesses he cut Lucas out of his life to survive. Haley gets basketball lessons from Nathan to pass PE. And then strolling on the beach, Dan meets Carrie, who fails to seduce him when invited to the beach house when Deb walks in. Now Brooke believes Lucas is her first love. He and Peyton don't come clean about the motel, but Haley overhears them. While driving with Lucas, Keith is hit by another car, and Dan is nearby and rushes Lucas to the hospital. So after the theme song, we start off with Haley straying where she's in front of the hoop during the game, with everyone in the stands watching her as she's about to throw the ball to win the game. Mouth is saying she needs to get this free throw to pass physical ed, otherwise her perfect grade point average is history.
So she wakes up from this because it's a dream.
Right, well, actually about the dream. Did you notice that Tim was with the cheerleaders in a cheerleading uniform?
Tim?
Yeah.
No.
Yep. I never caught it until this watch here. And then Lucas was there, and so was Nathan, but his shirt was off. So you can
I saw Nathan with the shirt off. I didn't see Lucas at all.
Yeah, so you can tell that this is Haley's dream. And then even Whitey's there telling her not to miss the basket and calls her tutor girl, which is something Brooke would say, but Whitey said it. And then, Haley threw the ball, but as soon as it catches air, it immediately gets pulled down to the floor and not even bounced back up.
Well, my thing is, my red flag is, didn't they do this somewhat with Joey and her alarm clock? And remember when she missed,
her exam?
Yeah. It's like they're kind of copying Dawson's Creek. Because this was similar to Joey.
Yeah. Didn't you say that the writers from that show are in this show?
I don't know if the writers are, but
I know somebody was.
Oh, I think maybe the set people and like cameramen and stuff. But I don't know. I just thought it was weird that they're kind of copying Dawson's Creek. Because I'm like, it kind of reminded me of Joey. Remember when she woke up and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, right.
Right.
I feel like they could have done it differently.
Right. Similarities. What season was that? Season 5 for Joey?
Not season 5. No, she was still living at home. Well, then she must have had 2 times she did it.
Oh.
Because I remember the one where she was in Cape Side. I thought it was.
Okay, I don't know what season that was then.
I don't know. I just thought it was weird. But anyway. I don't know. I could have done without the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do feel like this episode, somewhat, like most of it, was just kind of like a filler. Because, like, once the previous, like when they say previously on, and we saw that, and then we did the intro. Once all that was done, there was only 38 minutes left. It wasn't a full 43 minutes. So I was just like, I just felt like it was a filler. Like, they didn't really know what to do.
Yeah, I feel like the last couple of episodes or so have been less than 40 minutes long.
Yeah, it's like they didn't really know what to do. Because it wasn't like a whole lot was happening.
Right.
It wasn't jam-packed with drama like it normally is. So that's why I was just kind of thrown off. I'm like, oh, we're just going to do random stuff, kind of.
Right. Yeah, and then at school, Lucas catches up to Peyton and asks how she's doing with her dad, everything with her dad. She says, he's fine. And then he asks about them. And Peyton says it was a moment of weakness. She's been feeling guilty about it all weekend, and Lucas says he has too. And she says they should just bury it and pretend it didn't happen.
Yeah, they should.
So you don't think they should tell Brooke the truth?
I mean, if it didn't mean anything to them, they should. Well, they should never have done it in the first place. I don't agree with what they did.
Yeah.
Because I just have an issue with both of them through this whole episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then just then Brooke walks up and says to them, "Hi, friend, girl, boy." And then she asks them what's the latest scandal. As if, she knew what they're talking about. They say nothing.
No, I think she just wants to know what's the scoop.
No, I excuse me. I know that. It just seemed like, the timing of these things in this episode. And then Brooke, she's like, "Oh, you never have any good gossip." And then Brooke asks Payne if they're still redoing her room tonight. Payne says yes.
Yeah, and she invites Lucas to help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, he's just like, this
Yeah.
is like just like a little trio. It's like, really?
Yeah, so he starts to say he has other plans, but Brooke says that he would love to help. Her, Rudy, and Peyton in her room all night. The webcam pervs are going to love it. So, yeah, I really don't see the point of Payne having that webcam. It's not like she's getting paid to have it on or something.
Maybe she is.
Yeah. My goodness. And then at the next counseling session, Deb says Dan has a son from a previous relationship, Lucas.
Oh my God. So this therapy session was really funny.
Yeah, it's disturbing too.
Because Dan criticizes the therapist and like where she went to school, which doesn't that remind you of somebody else from Dawson's Creek? Yeah. Now that I'm talking about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God, as I said that, what was flashing in my mind was little Miss Jen criticizing that therapist.
Yeah.
Okay, so two somewhat storyline things or whatever resembled the show.
Right.
It's not even like it's two different episodes. Mm-hmm. It's like in the same episode.
Right. But Dan was only doing that to
I know.
change the subject away from him.
So was Jen.
I know, but like
she didn't want to talk about herself, so she was going on.
Yeah, but like he was doing it like in a more selfish way. She just didn't want to face what
I know, but I'm just saying it's kind of going back to that.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny though. But then so when Deb was like talking about Lucas and stuff, and Dan's like basically like, just so you know, like she knows about, like she's known about him all this time. It's not, out of the blue sort of thing. Yeah. And then he said, it's not all of a sudden it's grounds for separation. Yeah. That's what he said. And then he goes, and then he was talking about how, about Lucas, how he, cut out the part of, he said he cut out the part of me that was trapped. As in like Karen and Lucas. And I'm like, yeah, and he what? Brought up the story of the hiker that got stuck like that, yeah. The true story of that. I'm surprised they actually went on for that long. He seemed like he talked about that story for like 2 minutes. Yeah, it was just interesting. Mm-hmm. Like he compared Lucas to a rock, basically, crushing him and like killing him, and ruining his chance to survive. Because, like, he went into detail about the hiker having to break his own bones to get out. I'm like, is this really necessary, But yeah, he says he found himself faced with a difficult situation. But I didn't like that he said about Deb that he saw a future. Right. With her and not Karen. Because I'm like, wait a minute. I thought Dan proposed to Karen. Mm-hmm, yeah. So, what do you mean you didn't see a future with her? You proposed to her, or at least you wanted to, or something. Yeah, like, so it doesn't make any sense. And that was your love of your life at the time, or whatever. So it's kind of like, what do you mean you didn't see a future with her? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It'd be one thing if it was like, again, like a one night stand, or you hated her. Mm-hmm. But you were in love with Karen. So it doesn't make any sense that you would say that, well, you saw a future with Deb.
Mm-hmm.
I think what he saw was Deb's family had money,
Yeah.
and that's what he went after. And he didn't want, I guess, be known as the person that left 2 kids and 2 women behind as single mothers. That's probably also why. But also, he's always into being higher up. So I think Deb's family having money, it was like, okay, I guess I'll stay with you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of like, I just wish Deb would like open up her eyes and see that's why he married you. That's what, like, because he could have went back to Karen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he saw money. He saw green. So he said, I'll marry Deb. And I just wish she would see that. Because she doesn't, and she has never seen it. Because wouldn't that be like a question to you of like all these years? Why? Like, you loved her. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, you just met me, but she was the love of your life, you know? And it's not like Karen did anything to Dan that would be like, I hate her. So, it doesn't make any sense that you would choose Deb, except for money.
And then in the locker room, Lucas looks at himself in the mirror inside his locker and takes off Brooke's necklace and puts it away in his locker and closing the door.
Yeah, so does that mean he's saying bye-bye to Brooke?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Yeah, it seems like he's like he can already tell that his like I feel like he might have had like a crush on Brooke, but now it's fading and his feelings for Peyton are definitely coming back, especially after the motel.
Okay, so what bothers me is that Lucas, stopped it. I mean, it was already bad.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't actually have sex, it was kind of like, okay, I guess you get a brownie point for that. But so he stopped that. He didn't go any further.
Yeah.
But then this episode, it's like it's continuing. You haven't learned. I thought you had learned. You know what I mean? And then this episode, it's like you can't get Peyton out of your head, but it's like you stopped it. It's like I thought you were maturing because you had stopped it.
Right.
And the fact that you are now going to just be obnoxious this episode, do you know what I mean? It's like we just went from that episode. Coming from that episode, it just doesn't make any sense that he would continue this. You know what I mean? I thought they put their little brakes on.
Yeah. And then in the hallway, he runs into Peyton, and Peyton tells him Brooke had to take off early, so she said for him to call her later.
So then he goes, I lied.
Yeah.
And then he brings it up, and I'm just like, good, like, just knock it off, Lucas.
And then did you notice how Peyton kept saying Brooke is her best friend, Brooke is her best friend?
Yeah, he don't listen to a word she says, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, it's something she was trying to convince herself too, like remind herself.
No, I think she was trying to tell Lucas.
I think, yeah.
Because if he would have said she's your girlfriend, he would have ignored her. Because he really doesn't care. But she was trying to like tell him, I think, like, listen, I don't want to do that to her. And I already kind of did. Yeah, I just don't like it. It's really annoying, and both of them just need to separate themselves from each other so that your feelings can kind of, I don't want to say stop, because it's not like you can really stop. You know what I mean? Just if you're not, like, if you're not spending time with a person, it doesn't mean you still don't love or care for them.
Right.
I just feel like it needs to settle down. Because right now they just kind of jump at each other in the worst way. So it's kind of like they just need to kind of just settle and not, spend time together. That's why Peyton really shouldn't be inviting Brooke and Lucas over to paint her bedroom, because she needs to be away from both of them, I think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And isn't her dad supposed to be home? I don't understand this.
Right, yeah.
Isn't he supposed to be home, the dude? Remember he said he was, after that trip or whatever, he was going to come home for good or something? Well, wasn't he, so he should be home then.
Right.
So then where is he?
I don't know.
And if he is home, shouldn't she be spending time, bonding time with her father?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to rekindle my father-daughter relationship.
Was this a time when they're changing actors, maybe?
Probably, but it just story-wise, she
Mm-hmm.
could have said, without showing him,
Yeah.
she could have said, well, if Brooke would have said, hey, we should do something together, the three of us, she could have said, oh, I have plans with my dad because he
Mm-hmm.
just got home. It could have been that simple. We don't have to see him.
Right.
We just have to know she's spending time with him.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't make any sense that she misses him so much, but she's not spending any time with him.
Right.
Okay, so because she goes to school, then she has cheer practice, and then she comes home and doesn't spend time with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because again, by the time she comes home from like cheer practice, he would come home from work. So it doesn't make any sense that she would want to hang out with Brooke. And again, if you're trying to not tell Brooke and keep this a secret, why would you want to spend time with Brooke?
Right.
Regardless if Lucas is around, you're still faking it with Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you want to do that? Especially if it might slip that something happened or you still like him. You should just steer clear of both of them. But I think Brooke would understand if you said you had plans with your dad
Mm-hmm.
versus not saying anything at all,
Right.
you know? Or maybe she wants to paint her bedroom with her dad.
Mm-hmm.
That could be too. But
Yeah.
she's not. So it just, and I think that's where I think fans hate Peyton too, is she's not stopping this.
No.
Again, if that had happened, like if I was Peyton, I'd be like, oh my God, I gotta get away from both of you. So I'll do whatever it takes to get away from either one of you.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's not, and she's like, oh yeah, we'll still paint. It's like, no, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
This is a bad idea. Whether you tell Brooke or not, still not a good idea. Like it just happened, what, yesterday?
Maybe. Hard to tell. But yeah, Lucas isn't stopping it either because she's about to walk away, but then he stops her and kisses her right there in the hallway with everybody to
But it
see.
was right before she said it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And then he kisses her, and again, you're doing it in the school hallway.
Yes. Yeah.
You're not
Everybody.
doing it privately.
Because even Nathan and Haley were more low key than they were.
Yeah, because they went in the classroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas says it does mean something.
And Nathan and Haley were not dating other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, they're so innocent in this.
Yeah, and Payne tells him he's dating Brooke, and he says he knows, and she's great, but she's not you.
I have another problem.
With that line that seems to be said too often.
I have a problem. Another one.
Yeah.
So they kiss in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
And not only are people around, but what is Peyton?
What do you mean?
She's popular.
Oh, yeah.
You mean to tell... Okay, if Haley was kissing anyone else besides Nathan,
Mm-hmm.
rumors would not go around because nobody would give a crap.
Right.
But Haley kissing Nathan,
Mm-hmm.
the star of the basketball team, most popular, the word would get around, right?
Right.
Same thing with Peyton. She's a part of the popular group.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Brooke are the popular ones. So Lucas kissing one of the most popular girls in school
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Because rumors would get around, especially because he's dating the other popular girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you mean to tell me that wouldn't go around school? Cynthia, we went to a school.
Mm-hmm.
That would go around.
Right.
Big. That would go around in like the first minute, I feel like, of it happening.
Yeah.
And so don't tell me that people are looking away. Nobody's looking away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what teenagers do. They love to gossip. So why wouldn't they?
Right.
All they gotta do is have one person that does it, that Peyton or Brooke treated them poorly,
Mm-hmm.
and it gets around.
Yeah.
And so it just didn't make any sense that it wouldn't go around because Peyton's popular.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if Lucas was kissing a random person that isn't popular, I don't think it'd make the rounds.
Right.
But he's kissing one of the most popular girls. That's the other thing that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It's not like these people are like Dawson's Creek where they're nobodies, you know?
Yeah. So he says that ever
Oh,
since he
the
came to
other
her room, I think it was, yeah.
the other thing that I have an issue with what he
Yeah,
said was he said, I've been hiding with Brooke.
yeah.
Like, break up with her then. This is my point, is stop cheating. You've done it once.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, because of feelings and her dad, you found out he's alive and all of this. Like, you could say that. But what about right now?
Right.
So, given how you put Brooke's necklace back in your locker, you are trying to avoid Brooke, but you can't because she, is all over you.
Yeah.
And the fact that you want Peyton so bad, then break up with Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I have a problem with anybody. Is husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you want somebody else and you want out, then leave, break up with the person, get a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cheat.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what I have the issue with. And they're newly dating. You know what I mean? It's not like they've been together for like 5 years where it'd be like really hard. Like, yes, did Brooke put everything in? Like all of her emotions and feelings? Yes. So is it going to break her? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But she's strong enough to get through this.
Yeah.
If they did it the right way.
Right.
But the fact that, so what should happen was, it should have been, he breaks up with Brooke. They wait about a month, you know, and then they can tell her that they want to be together.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're not and they're just cheating,
Mm-hmm.
it's very hard to watch. And yes, I love Lucas and Peyton, but I don't think they're doing it the right way. He definitely, especially this episode, because he really loves Peyton, he really should have broken up with Brooke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Payne says even if they could be together, what makes him think that they would work? And he says it's because he feels it in his heart. And he asks if she does too, and she says yes.
But he kind of felt it in his heart when they were at the Scott house.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? Because he goes, I want this, as in her heart. And it's like,
Right. Then it just goes to the next scene with Lucas at home on his computer when Haley walks in and says, "What's up, loser?" He says he's just finishing an email to his mom because she comes back tomorrow.
I felt bad for Haley.
About not getting help with her.
Well, I mean, Lucas is supposed to be your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves basketball, blah, blah, blah. Like, and he can't even help you. It's like he erased his friendship or something. Because now all of a sudden it's all about Brooke and Peyton and screw Haley.
Yeah.
I'm just like, Lucas, she's your best friend. Like, when all this goes down, who's the person that's going to be still standing by you? Right. Haley. So it's kind of like, stop it. And she needs your help. So freaking help her. It made me mad because again, you need to be staying away from Peyton. So you should have really said to Brooke or whatever, hey, I can't, I gotta help Haley.
Right.
I mean, what the heck? But instead he's dumb enough to go and help paint or move stuff. Like, I don't like it. Instead of helping Haley, his best friend.
Yeah, he is so on disappoint Brooke.
Well, he's disappointing Haley. Who's more important? He doesn't want to be with Brooke.
Right.
Instead, he wants to cheat on her. So he really should be helping Haley.
Yeah, but he just gives her his basketball to borrow instead.
I don't like it.
Yeah. And then,
and really, what has Haley ever asked him to do?
Right.
She's not a needy friend.
And then he says he needs to talk to her about something, but before he can say anything, Brooke walks in.
Hi, Tutor Girl.
Yeah, she says, hi, Tigger. I didn't get that.
I know. So Brooke says, hi, Tutor Girl. And then Haley said, hi, Tigger. And I was like, what?
I mean, I guess because she's like, kind of has like a bouncy energy maybe. I don't know. There was a moment when she was like skipping. I put in my notes somewhere, but that's all I can think of. Like, she has like energy, I guess. I don't know. That's all I can think of.
Or is it because she has stripes and then she's not showing them all? Or I don't know.
It could be both, yeah. Never
Yeah,
mind
I
that.
don't know, but
Hmm.
I thought that was weird too.
Yeah, because wasn't I think Brooke was confused too.
Yeah, she kind of like just looked at Haley and then
Yeah,
looked back at Lucas.
yeah, because and then Lucas tells Haley, never mind, they can have a rain check on that chalk. And Haley tells the kids to have fun and leaves. And then, Brooke's excited to go to Peyton's house, and she's like, let's go, boyfriend. And, just always excited to call him boyfriend. And then Keith visits Whitey in his office. And,
I have an issue with this.
what?
Okay, so well, I mean, first of all, Whitey's like surprised to see Keith,
Hmm.
but didn't Keith always visit him in his office?
Yeah, or his house, too,
Yeah, it's not like it's Dan Scott where you're like, what?
yeah.
So it's just really weird that he's like, what are you doing here? Like,
Hmm.
what's this about? And it's like, he's like your friend. What?
Yeah.
First of all. Secondly, my bigger issue with this is Whitey tells him like um he's gonna basically if he gets the he if he wins 500 games, he's gonna quit.
Hmm.
Cynthia,
What?
a couple episodes ago, Whitey canceled practice, which means they probably didn't go to a game, which means they would have had to forfeit the game, which would mean the other team would have had the win.
Hmm.
So I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, well, maybe that's why he said that he only has 499.
Well, they should have made it more specific.
Yeah, because Keith thought he was there to celebrate the 500. 500, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. Whitey kind of canceled. He's kind of like already ditched the team.
Hmm. Yeah, so Keith says he
And
can't.
my other thing too with Whitey is why is he wanting to quit now? Like his wife is passed
Hmm.
and she's been gone for a while.
Hmm.
It's not like she's still here to spend the next, part of your life together.
Hmm.
And you have nobody else. So it's not like you have kids and grandkids that you have to, you want to go and watch them grow up. He is literally going to just be alone. So why
Hmm.
wouldn't you just continue to coach?
Right.
Because then you'd have something.
Hmm.
So it doesn't make any sense that he wants to quit now, you know? Shouldn't you have thought about that when she died?
Right. Yeah, he said every time
Why
he.
is he out acting like she just died? Like
Hmm.
it's all coming back to him now. Like,
Right.
shouldn't have come back to you within the first year?
Hmm. Yeah, well, he said every time he steps out onto that court, the game is what keeps him young. And without it, he'd be off somewhere babbling, wearing a dress, which, wouldn't be nice to say today. Has undertones of transphobia there, but um, Whitey says Keith hasn't seen him at home after that comment, and then Whitey looks at a picture. He says he promised himself he'd coach for 20
And now
years.
it's been 35. But
Yeah, so and
again,
then she supposedly passed away not nine, 7 years prior because he said that she died around the same time Payne's mom died, and so that was like 28 years of coaching. So he should
hmm
have already quit not 28, 8 years beforehand. But I guess since he didn't reach the 500 games, that's why he kept going. Because that was on his list. Coach 20 years, win 500 games, make a difference. So I guess he wanted to do all three before he goes. So like 20 years was like his minimum, but not his maximum years.
well, and I think too, he probably told her, I just love this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you don't really think your spouse is going to die.
Right.
So I'm sure he was just like, he probably kept telling her, I'll do it one more year. This will be my
Mm-hmm.
last year. And he probably did that for 8 years. And then she died. And then it was like, well, I have nothing anymore. So I'll just continue. But I just don't understand why now he
Mm-hmm.
wants to quit. Like, wouldn't that, like when she died, wouldn't that have been his, like, okay, I promised her that I should probably quit? He
Mm-hmm.
should have done it then. Like, why is he doing it now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, why is everything being brought up now? Like, all of a sudden now it's an issue that Lucas is Dan's son. Now it's an issue that Karen has to be around Dan. Now it's an issue that Whitey lost his wife. Like, all this isn't new.
Right.
They're acting as if she just died.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, after what'd you say it was, 9 years? Why would you now think of it? It's not like you have a kid that just had a baby where you're like, I need to retire so that I can spend time with my family. You don't have any.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. And it's not like he's reached the 500.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think, too, after 9 years, you would forget that you even said 500.
Right.
Like, who remembers that you promised somebody 500 games?
You could have, yeah, just sooner.
Yeah, but then wouldn't you tell yourself, well, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I have nothing. I might as well continue. And I'm getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. They never clarified, like, he had plans of his own or something to do after.
I know that. Well, I think that's why it's hard because we're looking at it as, well, you don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you going to just sit around at home? I guess you can. But, and not have the stress. Because that was the thing. I could see if, like, his blood pressure was up
Mm-hmm.
and he had to quit because he needed to calm down and live a quiet life.
Right.
I could see that, but I can't see this.
Mm-hmm. And then Haley is at the river court. Nathan shows up. He saw her try to make a free throw. So he asked if that was her jump shot, because if it was, he can't date her anymore. And then his mom said she would be there. Something about a grade. Haley tells him he can't be there right now because she looks stupid. And then Nathan says, "You realize I've seen you in that crochet poncho thing," which is cute. And then
Yeah,
Haley,
but then he helps her.
yeah,
Did
Haley,
you like that scene?
yeah,
I did. I thought it was cute.
hmm yeah. She says it's embarrassing. So she helps him, puts his hand on her
You
hips.
mean he helps her?
Yeah, what did I say?
You
Oh,
said she helps
yeah,
him.
yeah. I mean, yeah, he
Yeah.
helps her.
So he helps her.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And but she still misses. Nathan catches it. He says he takes it back. She says she can't do it. He says she can. Yeah, and then he demonstrates how to make the basket. Tell her, hold her, and then she misses again. And then she says that, he says that it wasn't perfect. It also wasn't embarrassing. It was actually kind of sexy. And then at the cafe, Keith tells Deb she's done a hell of a job there. He hopes he doesn't take this wrong. She doesn't take this the wrong way. But he's excited for Karen to come back. She says she is too. And then Keith asks how things are between her and Dan. She says they're going to therapy, but she's not sure they can find their way back. And, to the people that they used to be. I feel like they haven't been those people since Nathan was little. And now they just figured it out.
Well, I did like that Keith was helping. Like he was the bus boy. He was getting the dirty dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't really see him lift a finger when Karen was running the place.
Right.
Probably because Karen had everything under control.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why.
Yeah. And maybe too, like he's in a good mood to see Karen, that he just kind of like
just started helping out of nowhere.
Yeah, like he's like a little dreamland where he's just not really focusing on what he's doing. He's just doing whatever.
Just picking stuff up and not realizing it. Yeah. Wouldn't that be funny if he was such in La La Land and somebody was trying to eat or something? He just took their plate.
Yeah. Just like how Andy was stressed about telling Dawson about
and grabbed his underwear.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like stuck in your head. You don't know what you're doing.
Well, especially because all he's, I'm sure, been thinking of is that kiss.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, why wouldn't he be in La La Land?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had to wait 6 weeks. That's a month and a half.
Right. And then I didn't really care for this plotline, but a woman.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah. A woman is chasing her hat down the beach that's being carried by the wind. She calls for help from Dan, who's ahead of her. He catches it. She says she's Carrie. He's Dan. She says she was wondering what the name of the attractive man who jogs past her bungalow every morning was.
Well, so, being how Dan is as a person, he was like, what are you doing on my beach?
Yeah.
I didn't know you owned it.
Right.
And
or maybe like that part of it, but because it's, behind his house, but
then it was funny because she said, I also have a place here. And I'm like, burn Burn,
Mm-hmm.
burn.
Yeah. And she said she heard it was a great place to pick up guys.
Well, then shouldn't she know who Dan Scott is if she lives there?
Yeah. Well, yeah, she saw him every day, but just to
No, but
ask.
I'm saying the name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, Dan is not a quiet little person.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
sure around town they know who he is.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how far away the beach house is from
No,
Chanel.
but even the beach house, wherever it is, there'd be that little town would have gossip. You know
Maybe.
what I mean?
I don't know. There's like a lot of neighbors, I don't know their names around my house, so. Um,
I mean, like when I go north, we know the neighbors.
mhm.
So even the people on the water, it's like, you know people. It
Yeah,
gets around.
and then, yeah, she tells Dan that the yellow cottage is hers. He should come by and see her sometime. And then Brooke and
How old do you
Lucas,
think she is?
I don't know, a little bit younger than him, maybe. I don't know. Because he's supposed to be what, 30? No.
Because he was like probably, what, 19 when Lucas and Nathan were born? Because you're 18 when you graduate.
Right, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then you have to go from like 9 months from that. So either
mm-hmm.
he was 18, turning 19, or he was 19 when they were born. And they're what, 16 now?
Mm-hmm.
So 35 years. He's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, which makes me wonder too. There is I don't remember it. Season 2, 3, maybe 4, maybe 3, 4. Um, the episode where Deb was in the jail and Keith went to go, not Keith, Dan went to go bail out, and Hillary, Sophia, and Joy agreed that Deb was about 36 at that time. So I think their math might be wrong. Because I'm pretty sure Deb is the same age as Dan.
Oh, yeah, they were freshmen
Yeah.
together.
So, yeah, so she would have been older than 36 by that time. Well, or maybe like 37, 38.
No, well, season one and two, they're
Mm-hmm.
juniors.
Right.
And then season 3 and 4 is the same year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so by that point, she would have been 37 then?
And I have an issue with timeline age too on this show.
Because it slows down and speeds up and then it skips.
No, because like when they graduate,
Mm-hmm.
they say they're 17. They've been 17 for 4 seasons.
Right.
Then when Jamie's turning, he's almost, because he's like 4.5, almost 5,
Do we
right?
talk about this on here? I remember talking about it
I
in
think maybe,
general.
yeah, in general, you and me. But
Yeah.
then remember they're taking shots because
Mm-hmm.
they're taking like 21 shot, like because all of a sudden they're 21. I'm like, Jamie's like almost 5,
Mm-hmm.
and you graduated when you were 18, not 17. You know, I'm like, not all. Okay, here's the thing: is yes, could one of you be 17 when you graduate? 100%. But most people are 18 years old. So I'm like, the timeline does not add up because Nathan and Haley would have been 18 when Jamie was born. And not everybody was 17 when they graduated. So I was like, that's a lie. And then you fast forward to the fact that he was almost 5. They'd have been like 23. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't think their math is right on this show.
Right.
But because they've been 17, remember?
I thought they were 16 in their junior year.
Well, they shouldn't be. They should be turning 17 this year.
Yeah, because it's like they kind of wanted them to be almost the same age as Karen and Dan and Deb when they kind of like had their, stories kind of play out, start together. But I don't know. It just seems like with most teen drama shows, they're always like 16 at the beginning at least, so or just about to turn 16.
Yeah, because then they can drive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But eventually, this season or next season, they should all be turning 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next season, like 3 and 4, they should be turning 18.
Yeah.
But I hate when they say they all graduate when they're 17 because it's a lie.
Was
Except
it?
for doesn't Brooke turn 18?
Yeah, I was say I think Brooke, they actually clarified that she was turning 18, so or maybe like she's the oldest out of the group, so
But she graduates at the end of the year, or she turns 18 at the end of the year, which most people have birthdays in January and February.
Well,
Because basketball's over when she turns 18.
right.
So, and basketball ends in March. So she can't be turning 8. She'd be one of the babies of the group, of the class. Do you know what I mean?
You're talking about the end of the school year she turns 18?
Yeah.
Oh, like the end of junior year?
No, senior year she turns 18.
Oh, okay.
And it doesn't make any sense that she'd be the oldest one because she'd be one of the youngest ones. If at the end of the year she's just now turning 18.
Right. Okay. Yeah,
Because, okay, so even back then, if you had a December birthday, you were,
oh, yeah, class.
well, you were like
Yes,
one of the
yes.
older ones because you turned 18 in December.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get to graduate the group up in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So they're turning 18. They're starting to turn 18 in December. So if she's turning 18 after March, half the class is probably 18.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, so when was Lucas? Okay, so Karen, they graduate in what, May, June?
Mm-hmm.
Karen's already pregnant, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
You go 9 months from that. So if it's May, let's say it's, when would she get pregnant? Maybe April?
Yeah.
So 9 months from that
Mm-hmm.
is January.
Right.
So Lucas's birthday is like January.
And then Nathan will be about April, yeah.
Yeah. So they would graduate when they're freaking 18.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't make any sense that they wouldn't.
Right.
So I hate when in season 5 when they're like, or no, they say they're 22, but I'm like, Jamie's almost 5. What do you mean you're 22?
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It might have been they were taking shots because they were 22, but I'm like, it didn't make much sense.
Right.
It just seemed off.
And then Brooke and Lucas get to Peyton's house. Brooke goes in first. And, you know, they have all that time to talk at the doorway, Peyton and Lucas. Peyton says that they're going to hell. They're horrifying people.
I mean, it was good when Peyton said, we're going to hell. And I was like, yeah, you are. If you don't knock this crap off, you really are.
Yeah. And then Brooke calls them to come inside. Peyton says she doesn't want to hurt Brooke, but she already did. And then Lucas says neither does he, but he already did. But they got to tell her tonight, and Brooke calls him again, so they go inside.
So when Lucas is moving the mattress, and Brooke, has a one-on-one pain, she goes, I'm falling for him, and you can tell how happy she is.
Yeah.
And I was just like, poor Brooke. Like, she's just so happy. And it's all about to come crashing down. And then, Peyton realizes it's messed up. So she says, I don't have any paint. Okay, you invite these.
She said brushes.
Oh, brushes.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, you're going to paint. I mean, you don't have the stuff to paint.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she lied. She did have one.
No, that's what I'm saying, though, is if you had said that to me and I had come over, I'd be like, what are you talking about? You should have everything ready.
Right.
But then Brooke goes, we can fingerprint.
Yeah.
Or finger paint. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, Brooke, I don't think Brooke realizes that would take weeks and weeks if they did that way. But,
by hand.
Yeah. But and I was some timing when beforehand when Payne was trying to tell Brooke the truth, but then the song, on the radio's playing and Brooke asks what that is, and she says it's Tegan and Sarah don't confess, as if that was like Payne's wanting not to tell her, If that was a sign. Yeah, but
yeah, I just didn't care for the scene because Brooke doesn't know.
Yeah, and Payne tells them that she's not feeling well also, so she tells them they'll just pay another time.
Again, you couldn't call them on the phone and say, like, if you were really sick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm like, because again, there's so many things that Brooke should be questioning. Like, why doesn't she have the paintbrushes? Yeah. Why is she telling me she's sick when we're there?
Yeah, and Lucas and Payne are talking to each other while
like,
she's not in the room.
Well, and you have each other's cell phones. You mean to tell me you can't tell me you're sick?
Oh, yeah.
Like, all of a sudden it dawns on you, I'm sick. Out of nowhere?
Right.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. But I just wish Brooke was a little more, um,
Color.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because she's very clueless.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it because
Yeah.
I think if she had seen all of this, she would have questioned it.
Right. Yeah, so Brooke just says they'll do it tomorrow after Karen gets home. And then Brooke tells Lucas she'll let him buy her a hot chocolate.
Oh, and two, if Peyton's sick,
Mm-hmm.
why would you want to do it tomorrow?
Yeah, I know.
I'd be like, give me 48
Like,
hours. We'll do it next weekend.
Mm-hmm. And then she tells Peyton to not grow too much because if she gets any thinner, she's going to start looking fat.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like that either. And yeah, this is when she skips out of the room, so she's all, cheery and bubbly. And
But
that's why I called her Tigger.
But yeah, I just didn't like it because I'm just
Mm-hmm.
like, it doesn't, like if she's sick, like if you're sick, we're
Mm-hmm.
not painting your room tomorrow.
Right.
And the other thing is too, Peyton's room does not have to be painted right now.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it a month from now.
Yeah. And then too, once again, Lucas and Peyton are in the room together alone as Brooke leaves.
Why? Shouldn't she be Okay, so she's always hanging on Lucas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which she should. They're a couple. Why isn't she dragging him out of the room?
Right, like why isn't, like, just in question why he's not following her right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Lucas stays and Payne says she can't do this, to Brooke.
Because when they went up to Peyton's house,
Mm-hmm.
it looked like she was dragging Lucas to Peyton's house.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't she drag him out of there so she can start making out with him and stuff? It didn't make any sense. Why are you leaving your boyfriend in there?
Right. Yeah, so she just can't tell Brooke right now. And then the next scene, Brooke asks Lucas if she's told him how much she likes him.
I have a thing with Brooke with this.
Yeah, I do too.
Because she said she wants Karen to like her.
Oh, I'm talking about different thing.
Oh. And my thing is, once Karen finds out what you've done to her son, there is no way she is going to like you, Brooke.
Yeah.
No matter how nice you are to her.
Right.
You got him a tattoo. You got him drunk. He missed his mom's phone call.
Mm-hmm.
He went to a hot tub that it was who knows whose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've done so many things. It's like, I don't think she would like you. Because Karen is like the good parent.
Mm-hmm.
She wouldn't like you. Plus, Deb saw him getting condoms. It's like, there's so much stuff she would be so mad at you for. I'm like, so I think the main thing is you scarred her son.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, she would not like you no matter what you did.
Right.
If you gave her $1 million, she still wouldn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yeah, she could do that.
But I don't care what Brooke does.
Mm-hmm.
Karen wouldn't like her.
Yeah.
Because again, once Keith sits down and tells her because she's going to say that. She's going to say, what happened for these 6 weeks? Right. And then she might ask Deb. And then Deb can't lie to Karen. They got like a girl code. Like if Deb wants to continue to be friends with Karen, she can't lie to her.
Mm-hmm.
So if Karen asks her how it's been going and have you seen anything, like as girls, we say that to each other. It's kind of like she can't lie to her. Right. No matter what promise she made to Lucas, he's a kid.
Mm-hmm.
She has more loyalty to Karen than she does to Lucas. I'm just pointing that out there.
Yeah.
So Lucas should be a little worried.
Mm-hmm. Well, my thing with this, with Brooke, because, she says she likes him, and Lucas asks her, why does she like him? And then Brooke says pity, mostly, but then never gives him a real answer.
So she doesn't like him.
Yeah, so I think they just kind of have crushes on each other, but they're like, trying to believe it's actually love,
Well, I don't think this is really true love, because they don't know much about each other, and the stuff they do like, they're not interested in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like he loves books and apparently music, but that's Peyton.
Yeah.
And she loves everything bad.
Yeah.
Because anything he's interested in, she's always like, that's boring. That's boring. Let's do something fun and illegal. Yeah. It's like, you guys are two different people that shouldn't be together.
Right.
So I don't think it's love. Right. Because if you truly loved somebody, you would be interested in everything they're interested in.
Right.
Like Haley. I don't think Haley gives a rat's butt about basketball. But she goes to the games because she likes Nathan.
Yeah, she's supporting him.
Right. The thing she probably I mean, I don't think she really hung out at the River Court every time Lucas played because she didn't care about basketball.
Right.
And they were just friends. But
Mhm.
she likes Nathan a lot more. So she's like, I'll go and, watch you play.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. It's like, who cares if the person isn't interested in that or
Mhm.
if you're not interested? If that person loves something, you need to get on board and fake it.
Yeah.
But the problem is she doesn't. She's always like, she has an agenda.
Mhm.
Like, I'll read a book, but we got to do something illegal.
Right.
It's like, you can't, that's not a relationship. That's not growing together.
Mhm.
That's not learning about each other.
Right.
So it's like they just have too many differences that I don't think this is love
Mhm.
at all. Because you don't know each other.
Mhm.
What do they really know about each other?
Right.
Because she doesn't want to know things about him because she doesn't care about the stuff he cares about.
Mhm.
And she doesn't want him to know the bad parts about her. So
Mhm.
that's not a real relationship.
Right.
In order to truly love somebody, you need to know the good, the bad, everything. And then you continue to still love that person.
Mhm. Yeah, and then so Brooke says that it would be great if she could hit it off with Karen because she's not close with her own mom.
Again, Karen won't like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I did feel bad for Brooke because she does want that mother figure in her life.
Well, it ain't gonna be Karen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe when they break up.
Mm-hmm. And then Brooke tells Lucas, you can't control love. And Lucas thinks, I feel like Lucas thought she meant him and Peyton, but then Brooke adds, his mom and Keith.
Well, yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I know you're so worried about them," and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"That ain't what that's his mom and Keith aren't even on his mind.
Right.
The only thing he's thinking of is what he wants to do with Peyton."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Brooke says that people that are meant to be together always find their way back in the end. And she says this with her arms around his neck, and then they hold hands and walk with their hot chocolates. And then Haley is at the cafe where she's writing something but hates it and balls it up and throws it away in the trash can but misses the basket, so she can't even, get that kind of basket, nonetheless the basketball net. And then Peyton walks in, she needs advice, and she doesn't have anybody else to talk to. And Haley was like, oh, Brooke's not around? And then she asks about the rest of her minions.
Oh my god, that was funny because she's like, "Where's the rest of your minions?" And she's like, "What?" And she's like, and Haley goes, "Well, you're like, queen of the hive." She was like, I'm sure you have somebody to talk to. And she's like,
Right.
"Well, none that I can really talk to."
Yeah, which is sad. She has a lot of friends, but no one to talk to.
Well, that's because those are like the yes people.
Mm-hmm.
She's not really friends with them.
Yeah. So Payne tells Haley that, like, does she know, like, when she first, when she realized she, like, Nathan and Lucas would flip out, like, how does she deal with that? And,
Well, then, yeah, Haley goes, "Well, it's not like they were dating."
right.
It's like,
Yeah, which is funny to have a line. It's funny, in general, but, like, it's funny because they're brothers, too, so that was kind of, like, a sort of inappropriate line, but still poking in, at the fact that, like, it's Payne's guilt that's making her think about that line a lot.
mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so she said that, she thought to herself, like, is Nathan worth losing her best friend over? But if Lucas is really her friend, then he would just be happy for her. And then Haley asks, Payne if she's sure she's okay. Payne says she's good. And thanks
Well,
for the
see,
advice.
Haley wouldn't be giving her that advice if she knew the truth.
Right, definitely.
Because why would Brooke be okay with it?
Mm-hmm. And then Whitey's in his office, and it's lifeless that we talked about earlier. So then Nathan walks in because Whitey wanted to see him. He asks Nathan if he made a difference by being on a team, and like, has he learned anything? And Nathan says that he knows that his feet move better on defense. And Whitey sighs, saying that's something, I guess. He tells Nathan there's a couple of new plays in the folder on the desk that he missed out on, so Nathan picks it up. And he tells Whitey thanks for landing him back on the team and walks in the office. And then Haley is still practicing her free throws at Nathan's house, and she still sucks. And the day that she has to do it is today. And Nathan is still helping her. He tells her to keep her elbows in.
What did you think of when Dan walks
Yeah.
up?
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm Haley."
Mm-hmm.
And It was just obnoxious. Like, why is he there? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's no reason why he needs to be there. He was kicked out.
Right.
And then I mean, he needed something, Nathan could bring it to him. So there's no reason why he was there because all he did was leave.
Right.
It's like, and it was weird because he was like, he said, "Oh, how's my house?" and walked away. I was like, what?
Yeah, that was a weird ending. Yeah.
I think he was really trying to make sure he lets everybody know this is his house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was after Nathan said that he was gonna take a
Oh
race
yeah,
off.
because Dan was like, "Oh, why don't you have dinner with me tonight?"
Right
But
at his
again,
house.
Nathan
Yeah.
has a cell phone. Call him.
Right. And
Well,
yeah,
then
so he
Haley
says,
tells, yeah, so then
"Sorry,
Haley
continue."
tells Nathan, no, I really think you should go. And he goes, I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Which he doesn't really want to do anything with his parents,
Right.
which is understandable.
And then Dan also told Nathan that it was a good move to go back on the team. Of course. Yeah, so they go back to practicing, and then he tells her to try it granny style. And at Karen's, was that Karen's? No, I think it was at Karen's house. Keith had a bouquet of flowers. He was fixing a vase for her when she comes home. And then we see Whitey visiting Camila at the cemetery. He puts flowers down as well. And at school, Nathan is looking at the folder Whitey gave him where he finds Whitey's life list. And then Haley is in P where she has to make the free throw. She throws the ball and makes it. They did mention this um, in the Drama Queens podcast where Joy did say she was athletic, but she didn't explain this shot here because the way that they filmed it, the camera moved down so you could only see Haley's legs when she threw the ball. So I'm thinking it actually wasn't Joy herself that made the basket, especially with the way she was struggling earlier. Like she made that basket look really easily all of a sudden to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know, Jim paid too much attention.
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed a little weird. Like she didn't look nervous at all or anything. She just did it. And then Haley finds Nathan in the hallway. She says she owes him. He says good because she needs a favor. And then Keith goes to see Dan at the beach house to check up on him. After dinner with her parents. Dan says, "Oh, now Keith's worried about him after bringing Whitey to his house
You
last
mean
week."
you mean Keith goes to see Dan?
Did I say Dan goes to see Dan?
No, you said Dan goes to see Keith.
Oh, yeah, and that's right in my notes, so I said it wrong anyways.
Okay, so I don't understand Dan. Like Keith was being nice at dinner. And then he was like, you brought Whitey. And I'm like, Whitey didn't even open his mouth
Right.
except to Nathan, and that was just to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say anything to you
Yeah.
or about you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, he kept his mouth shut.
Right.
And he's still mad. Like, I could see if he got mad at first, but given that the dinner's over with, it's like, why are you saying this? Like, it's done and over with, and he didn't say anything. I could see if Whitey said something, but he didn't.
Yeah, he's just like, Dan's like always blaming somebody.
No,
he
loves blaming Keith.
Yeah.
And then it was weird when Whitey talked to Nathan because don't you think that when Nathan asked to come back to the team, that Whitey would have brought up the dinner?
Right. Yeah.
Because it was weird that he brought it up now. Like Nathan's already on the team.
Right.
And then he says, "Oh, that dinner," and I'm like, "You mean to tell me you haven't seen each other since the dinner?"
I guess. Yeah.
But Nathan wasn't on the team then, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
he would have had a discussion with Whitey prior to that one.
Yeah.
So dinner would have been brought up then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird. Didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Keith was like, "I was just coming here to check up on you, but my mistake."
Well, and then Keith brings up Karen,
Mm-hmm.
and then she's coming home, blah, blah. And he has to go to the airport. And Dan goes, "Still living that lie?"
Right.
Oh my God. And then oh my God. And then Dan goes, step further and says, "If you weren't good enough for her then, what makes you think you'd be good enough for her now?"
I know.
And like, you've been in love with her even when I was like dating her. And I'm like, oh my God, Dan, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, Keith was just doing the right thing as a brother and, checking up on him, and all of him was hostile with him.
That's why he shouldn't have went.
Right.
Just let your brother suffer.
Mm-hmm. And then Keith gets to the cafe where Deb, says 3 hours to Karen. Keith tells Deb to ask him, the mistake he just made.
So yeah, so then he tells them that he went to go see Dan. And they were talking about him because I guess, Dan is having a hard time. But it was funny because Keith was said, because Deb said that he doesn't like being alone, or he's not good at being alone or something. And Keith goes, yeah, no one's there to tear him down when he's alone.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was like, that is true. Because he's not going to tear himself down.
Yeah. Well, Keith said that there's no one to tear down when he's alone except himself, yeah.
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, so he's just expecting somebody shows up, he lashes out on them.
Yeah, well, that's why I said he's not going to tear himself down. Only others.
And then Deb asks if he wants something to eat. He says he'll just have a beer. It's 3 hours until Karen. And then Keith tells Deb that before Karen left, she kissed him at the airport. And it wasn't like one of those see you later kisses. When he feels like his life is about to start, the life that he always wanted is about to start now. And it's just 3 hours away and he's scared. Deb says it couldn't happen to, two better people. And he's says he's going to be fine.
I think what's annoying is we haven't heard any of these discussions between Karen and Keith for these 6 weeks. Because all we saw is like a kiss and then she went away. It's like we haven't heard anything of like, oh, they're going to be together and there's all these promises. Like maybe after these 6 weeks, she doesn't want to be with you. Like we haven't heard these discussions. So when he says, oh, there's like, this is the rest of my life, it's like, but whoever said you're going to be together? Because again, we didn't hear anything.
Sure.
So how do we know that Karen even wants to be with you after 6 weeks? Maybe she found someone else. We don't know.
Yeah. And then Dan is grilling his food when Carrie drops by again.
Ugh.
Yeah, and she says he disappoints her. He doesn't call her right. And when she comes over to invite him for dinner, he starts without her. Dan says she's run out of time and asks if she would care to join him. She said she liked that.
I didn't care for it.
Yeah. And then Nathan, that's better name, sorry. Haley and Nathan are in the library where Haley asks Nathan if he knew that Whitey's real name was Brian Durham. I forgot about Brian. I remember the Durham part, but I still call him Whitey. Haley tells Nathan to look at her computer to see the site she's on that has like a record before Tree Hill. The computer shows an article about Whitey with the headline, Coach Durham has successful first season. So it's the very first year at Tree Hill. And then Haley goes to get something to drink, so Nathan just looks at the article alone. And then, somewhere else in the library, Payne and Lucas meet up in secret, where Payne says this is so wrong.
Again, why at the school?
Yeah, hiding from Brooke, but not hiding from people like a tell Brooke. And then Lucas asks if Payne thinks that's part of them, knowing it's part of it, knowing that it's wrong makes it feel deeper.
Well, it was annoying because he said, I have to be with you. I'm like, no, you don't. Yeah, or you can be with her when you break up with Brooke. And then, so of course, they kiss, and then Haley sees them, which is so annoying because you're just cheating. And after all the criticism that Lucas did to Haley, it was like, really?
Yeah.
And she gets upset, which I was happy she did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, back at the beach house, Dan asks if Carrie would like something to drink. She's lighting candles, making herself at home there. And she asks how his red wine collection is. He says, excellent.
So when Dan goes and opens up the drawer, right, and sees a picture of him and Deb, and then realizes, he's still married.
Yeah, it's like the same thing with Payne and Lucas and the necklace.
Well, it's like, is he not wearing a wedding ring? I guess I didn't really look.
About too, yeah.
Yeah. But also, like, he says, I have a wife. I love her very much. Like, basically, go because, this isn't happening. And then she says, I have a husband too. I'm like, what?
Yeah, and their spouses aren't there.
Yeah, so they can still do things. I'm like, this is weird.
Right. But then just then Deb walks in.
Perfect timing. And like, oh yeah, Deb was there to check up on him because Keith said he was lonely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I didn't really believe Dan when he said I love my wife very much.
Right.
What's he talking about?
Mm-hmm. And then next scene, Lucas is getting ready to pick up his mom when Haley walks in. She bluntly asks, what's going on between him and Peyton. Lucas says nothing. Haley says, so they weren't together recently. He says no, and then asks why did she speak with her. And she says, why are you trying to figure out what lie to tell me next? And Lucas says that he wanted to tell Haley that they've been, but she knows that he has been with her because she saw him kissing Peyton, which is a jackass move considering he has a girlfriend named Brooke.
Well, it was annoying because he throws back at her and was like, oh, so, Nathan says a few nice things and like you fall for him. And it's like, why are you, leave those two alone. They haven't even done anything to you. Yeah. It's like really annoying at this point because that's the only thing you can throw back. But like Nathan's changed. So shut up, Lucas. And right now you're the problem.
Yeah, so Haley knows that she's like the person he's becoming because it's not complicated, it's simple. He should just end it.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, then she says, next time you see me, don't talk to me. Mm-hmm. It's just bad, but
Yeah. And then too was the part where Lucas said that because she said, if she hears one more time, he knows that she did it for him. So Lucas says, like, does she tell herself every time she's kissing him, like that's what she's doing, like she's doing it for Lucas, and that she's the one that's lying?
No, she should have said, what she should have said was, I don't think about you at all when I'm kissing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but then he kept going, like, saying she's looking for a betrayal, look at herself.
Yeah. So at the beach house.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Dan and Deb talk. And he said it was innocent. Whatever. And then that's when she said that, like you had a bottle of wine out and stuff. He said that he was lonely for some company. Mm-hmm. Like, really?
Yeah.
It was annoying. Well, Dan's just an ass.
Yeah.
And then he brings up, like, who they used to be and stuff. And it's like, you haven't been those people in a long time. And she even says that.
Mm-hmm. And then Dan had the nerve to ask if she's hungry, like she's going to stay after what she just saw. Yeah. And like having dinner with him will fix it.
I think the only thing she would have done is pour the wine on him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then after she leaves, that's when he says that he loves her. Mm-hmm. But she can't even hear it. And then in Whitey's office, he's putting his name into a box. Nathan walks in, holding Whitey's list. He asks Whitey, so he's just going to quit, win 500 games, and walk away. And he did a little research in the library. And Whitey is shocked to hear that he was in the library. Yeah, it was
funny because he goes, oh, you were in the library? He goes, temperature must have dropped in hell.
Yeah. He tells Nathan that he promised Camilla he'd win 500 games and walk away. They were going to grow old together. Nathan says he was already old. Besides, he's going to yell at him. Whitey says he's not supposed to yell at him. He's supposed to learn things. Nathan says, yeah, but what fun would that be? He loves yelling at him. And Nathan loves making him yell. And then Whitey, yelling actually now, says that if Nathan would just listen once in a while, then maybe he wouldn't be yelling. And then Nathan says not many coaches win 500 games.
Well, it's true, but then, yeah, that's when Whitey goes, well, yeah, that's because they move up.
Mm-hmm. So does that mean that that's what he wanted to do but then never did? Or
probably. He probably figured at some point he would go to college. Mm-hmm. But didn't work for him. So he was just with these little kids. Mm-hmm. And then Nathan was like, no, like this is what matters and stuff is, like high school because we don't know who we are, trying to figure it out, blah, 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 which is true.
Yeah.
Because when they're in college, they're going to be trying to become pro. Mm-hmm. It's like, but when they're in high school, they're doing this either because they have family issues or they want to be better at the sport. It's like there's many reasons why they play sports. So, and the coach does make a difference. Mm-hmm. So, I agree with Nathan.
Yeah. And then Nathan mentions Whitey, how he said the other day about asking him if it made a difference. He tells him he did, at least with him.
That was nice.
Yeah. And then when he tells him that he has to do it on his own at some point, Nathan says, yeah, but that's, got a long way to go until then, and just not give up.
So what did you think when Dan's driving and he's telling Deb, "Oh, I'm coming to see you and stuff," and I'm like, "What is this? She don't want to see you."
Yeah.
Didn't you kind of leave it the way it was?
Yeah.
Like she said everything she wanted to say to you.
Mm-hmm. And just now his call went to voicemail too, so she didn't pick up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go back to Whitey in his office where he's looking at the list, and then with a marker he writes over the 500 games to 600, and then puts his theme plaque.
I think he just needs to quit writing down what he wants.
Right. And then Brooke and Peyton are finished redoing her room, so now it's red, the iconic red walls that she has. And
look kind of black to me.
It was like a dark red to me, yeah. But on one side of the wall, she has the picture of an audience on the first top half of it. And Brooke says it's like they're all judging. And she says Payne can't hide in her room anymore.
Well, then she says, this where she talks about the drugs or no? Oh, yeah. Because then she said, because Payne's like, "Oh, you're my best friend."
Mm-hmm.
And then Brooke's like, "Yeah, what drugs are you on?
Yeah.
And can I have some?" I was like, "Really, Brooke?"
Mm-hmm.
Like, you watched Peyton go through that,
right?
And then you say you want drugs, like as a joke, really?
Yeah, that's a little insensitive. And then Payne says she needs to tell Brooke something. But then we go to the next scene with Haley and Nathan, where I lie on the bed.
We all know she ain't gonna say nothing.
Mm-hmm. Where Nathan asks what's wrong, and Haley tells him, her and Lucas had a disagreement. Nathan asks if it was about him. She says no.
So it's really annoying because Nathan was saying how ironic it is that Lucas is being a jerk and that it's funny because that's who he was, and I just like Nathan.
Yeah, and then he messed it up by continuing to say how this whole thing started just because he was trying to mess with Lucas.
I know. I was like, why would you say that?
Yeah, and then Haley just kind of sits there with,
But I have a thing with Haley though, is how come she doesn't realize? Like, she knew that.
Yeah.
Why is she acting like she didn't know that?
Well, she thought by now that,
Yeah, but that's the thing, is at the beginning when she was tutoring him, he was using her. It's like, once they became official, it was not about Lucas anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But she's taking it as that. What? You don't think so?
Well, I don't think she ever realized, even at the beginning, what he was doing. Only Lucas knew.
Hmm.
She thought he genuinely wanted her help with his grades and everything. So, yeah, I think she was just blinded up until this point.
Well, but when they went on that date, and he didn't want to be around her, it's like...
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with Lucas. It was just being around someone that wasn't on the, in the popular group.
Hmm.
And then,
oh my God! So Dan goes to Kieran's cafe to see Deb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he should know that's where she is. Like, she's not actually at home.
Right.
And I mean, this is where Deb says, there was nothing he could say, and she wants a divorce. I was like, good for you, Deb, but I feel like she should have said that like 10 episodes ago.
Yeah. And that was after he said he wants to come home, he needs to come home.
Yeah.
But I thought it was sweet how she was putting up a banner in the cafe that said "Welcome home, Karen."
Yeah, she missed her friend.
Yeah. And then Keith and Lucas are in the car on the way to the airport. Lucas is still thinking about his mess. When Keith asks, if he's excited to see his mom, Lucas says, yeah. And Keith says it seems just like yesterday he was kissing her goodbye at the airport. And of course, Lucas didn't know about this.
He's like, what?
Yeah.
Kissing my mother?
Mm-hmm.
So so when this whole crash happens,
mm-hmm.
I didn't actually pay attention to the lights.
Right.
Like, whose fault was it?
Yeah. They did mention the tattoo, just keep it covered up for the rest of his life so Karen doesn't find out. But yeah, they stop at a red light. Keith says he knows it wasn't always smooth sailing between, him and Lucas, but whatever help, or him and Karen, somebody, but whatever happens, with his mom, he just wants Lucas to know that, he'll always be there. And Lucas says he loves him too. And then the light turns green. at the other side of the intersection, Dan pulls up going the other direction, and I think Keith noticed him. So Keith was like distracted by Dan being there.
Do you
So
think Keith saw Dan? I didn't think he saw Dan.
I don't know. It's because I think Hillary said that. That's why he was distracted. I don't think it was entirely, but I think he was distracted, if anything, because he was excited to see Karen.
I think that was the only thing that was on his mind. I
Yeah.
don't think Dan
Yeah.
was.
So Keith takes off to turn where he would have passed Dan, on the lanes, but instead there's a car going straight from across the intersection really fast too, where Keith was, and he doesn't see or hear the horn of the other vehicle speeding, so it T-bones Keith's vehicle on Lucas's side. And then Dan quickly gets out of the car. Keith opens the car
So,
door and
so yeah, so it was Keith's fault then.
Yeah.
Oh, so, okay. So here you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, crash happened.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, Dan went over there.
Yeah.
And then he was just, yelling, Keith, Keith. And so, and see, the thing is, like, he gets Lucas out of the car, which was fun. Like, he first tries to call 911, but he realizes, like, it's faster. Well, yeah, and it's just faster just to take Lucas. So he did. I was just kind of like, where are you about the head there, Dan? Right. That was, like, my only thought. I was like, here's Lucas's head, because that's how he was Karen.
Yeah, and they say you're not supposed to move somebody either when.
Yeah, you're not, because what if they're paralyzed or something?
Or you make it worse by moving them, yeah.
Like, if they have a broken leg, you're going to ruin it because it needs to stay the way it is so that the doctors can take care of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Which, looking at Lucas, he didn't have any other injuries that we could see. Like, his face wasn't smashed. Like, he got hit.
Yeah.
So how is it he didn't have anything on his face? I was like, your face would be so bruised and damaged, and
they did have him like having blood come out of his mouth and maybe his ears, I think, which the blood didn't really look real. Like, it looked too thick to be real,
but when he was like lying on the table, I'm like, looks pretty good to me.
Yes.
Someone who was literally just got smashed where he should be dead looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Looks like he could walk out of the hospital. So when Dan gets to the hospital and they take Lucas and stuff, and the guy was like, oh, he's gonna need surgery. And he was like, and he goes, and then he's a kid though, so he's he needs the parental consent. And then Dan goes, well, Dan first said, do everything you can, which is weird because it's Dan. Right. And then he says, he's my son. I was like, oh my God.
And then with the doctor too, I think Joy pointed this out too, like the doctor just like glanced at Lucas and right away was like, he needs surgery. He didn't do any tests or anything.
Well, yeah, you can't. Yeah. He doesn't look like he needs surgery, just the way he looks. You would have to do scans and open up his shirt and see the wound before you would say he needs surgery.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Dan helping Keith and Lucas from the accident, just very out of character, because up until this point,
he's been an ass.
Yeah, Dan just said in therapy that Lucas was like the rock that was squishing him, that he had to remove, or like he was like the dead end of his arm that he had to remove to survive.
Well, that's why it was really weird, because I'm like, Dan would be the person that's like, oh, they're gone. Yeah. It's like, he would, or he just would sit there and watch them die. Yeah. Like, bleed out. It's like, he wouldn't be the person that helps. Yeah. Like, all those people standing by. And Dan's the one that's helping.
Right. And, like, he was just lashing out at Keith earlier, accusing him of using Whitey to, interrogate him at the dinner and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, it was just weird, because I'm like, and then to basically give consent to save his life, I'm like, yeah. And I know that he first questioned it, like, because, it had that pause, but then he said it, and I was like, what? I mean, yeah, you are, but it was just really weird.
Yeah, so then Karen's at the airport looking for Keith and Lucas. Keith is being checked at the hospital, and he's told he has a concussion and needs stitches, but he'll be fine. And then the doctor asks, how much he's had to drink today. And then Lucas is put under. But
didn't he only have that one drink?
Yeah, as far as we saw, but yeah.
But I couldn't imagine Deb would give him more.
Right, yeah.
Unless he got in the car and drank more before he picked Lucas up or something.
Right, yeah, the girls in the podcast point that out too. They don't know how much he actually drank.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it could have just been his nerves.
yeah, yeah,
It didn't
yeah,
mean it was alcohol.
right. And it's definitely a factor, but not the only factor, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But then, did you notice when they put Lucas under in the operating room, like he had his clothes on, he was fully clothed, and before putting him under the anesthesia, so it looked funny to see him with the same clothes that he was wearing when they brought him to the hospital, so like a gown, because usually they would just rip the clothes off, to get to you in the emergency situation that he was in. So, because like having his clothes on like that from the crash was just, wasting time and
Well, and again,
upset and
they would still.
unsanitary as well.
I feel like they'd still do a scan because they need to see how deep your wound
Yeah,
is,
yeah, they just can't open him
and
up
in
and
order
just
to
look
do
around and
that,
like
right, and to
walk.
see
Yeah,
what's in it. Is there
yeah,
glass? Like they just needed to see what they're dealing with, so they would still do a scan so that
right,
they can see what they have to do.
right,
They're not gonna just start cutting you open
yeah,
unless they're not really doctors.
right. So then Heath calls Karen at the airport at the courtesy phone, and then Lucas' surgery starts. And now he has clothes off, that it should be, when he flatlines. And that's how it ended.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, the low was I didn't like the cheating,
Right.
and I didn't like obviously the car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And then the high, was there a high? Oh yeah, Deb saying she wants a divorce.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, there was two plot lines of cheating in this. Um, the car accident. Yeah, just it was mostly lows and highs than anything. Um, why do you decide not to quit after he did? Because Nathan convinced him not to. That was nice. And now hopefully, like you said, Deb will finally get away from Dan and
Take
Nathan
Nathan
too.
with
Yeah,
him or with her?
yeah, and then rating.
I'd rate this a 7. I mean, not much is going on.
Right, yeah, me too.
And then who's your best and worst?
The best, just because he made the right decision at the very end of the episode, was Dan. Because Lucas definitely would have died if he hadn't got him out of the car and took him to the hospital. And then the worst is Lucas beforehand because of the cheating and everything. Like, I mean, Peyton was bad too, but they both should have stopped it. But like, it seemed like Lucas was putting the pressure on Peyton to tell Brooke, like only her and not both of them, maybe, even though he's the boyfriend and in the relationship. So he's, I mean, they're both hurting Brooke, but like relationship wise, it's all Lucas. So yeah. And yours,
Oh, sorry, who's your best?
Dan, just because he made the right decision.
So yeah, I'd go. Yeah, my best is definitely Dan,
Mm-hmm.
because he did save. Because nobody, everybody was just staying in there.
Yeah.
Nobody was calling for help. Nobody was helping. So it's like Lucas probably would have died out.
Yeah.
And so he did. Plus, he did authorize a doctor to get, for permission.
Yeah.
And so yes, I mean, was he great from the start? No,
Mm-hmm.
the ending is what saved him.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was the best, and then the worst. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lucas because he's the one that kept like pressuring Peyton, kind of.
Yeah, and like he was kissing her,
Yeah, he's the one that went for the kiss. She was the one that was like, "No, we can't do this" and
Yeah.
stuff, and he was the one that kept
Mm-hmm.
going for it. So,
Right.
and again, she's not dating Brooke.
Mm-mm.
He is.
Yeah.
He's the one that needs to break up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore. I mean, they're so far into it.
Right. And
All
then,
right.
with the necklace playing away, it's kind of like he's been done with Brooke now for a minute, so.
And he doesn't want to remember her.
Mm-hmm.
So he can just be, again, just then end it so you can be with Peyton.
Right.
And then what's the next episode?
Episode 14, I Shall Believe.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Duo Chat. If you want to chime in with your opinion about the episode and the show we discussed, you can email us at duochatpodcast@gmail.com. And to keep up with updates about the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Duo Chat Podcast. And give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We would appreciate it.